Okay, dog parents, if your dog's getting older and you're noticing some weird changes, sleeping differently, pacing at night, anxiety out of nowhere, this might explain it. Dogs can get dementia. This new 12-week study tracked real senior dogs in real homes, not lab sterile environments. In real homes where they're comfortable with their own human, food, dog bed. They tracked sleep, activity, surveys, and blood markers. And the results were kind of shocking. Quick disclaimer, this is an educational and not medical advice, and I'm not here to sell you a miracle. I am here to help you support your loved one, your little fur baby, and help you spot some patterns, ask better questions, understand the real science of what's going on here. So, what is CCD?
Canine cognitive dysfunction. This is a progressive degenerative condition, meaning it is something that once it starts, it's just kind of keeps going and getting worse and worse. And really, when we think about CCD in dogs, it's directly analogous to human dementia.
And the part I just can't stop thinking about is most dogs either improved or halted decline, did not get worse. And a lot of these showed up in as little as 3 weeks.
So it's called the Senior Dog Study. And if you want to see kind of a more of a visual representation of it, you can go to seniordogstudy.com, and we kind of break it down and have a really simple way to look through exactly what we did, see some of the case studies, see some of the individual dog stories, have the data presented in a visual way for all those visual learners out there.
And the vet often uses a framework called DISHS, D-I-S-H-S. This is a cheat code. D, disorientation, staring into corners, getting stuck behind furniture, interaction changes, less eye contact, less affection, suddenly clingy or suddenly distant. Then we got S, the sleep-wake cycle. Awake at 2 a.m., maybe pacing, restlessness. I'm sure y'all could relate to this as humans as well. We got H, which is house soiling, accidents when they used to be solid. And then A, activity changes and anxiety, pacing, agitation, confusion, and maybe new fears.
The earlier you can start, the earlier you can correct these trends in our health, the less we have to take these really hardcore interventions and force the body to take a right turn on a dime. If we can just kind of shift the ship's direction by a couple degrees, that's way easier to do than to take this aversive reaction. And that's what the research showed, is that the dogs that had the greatest impact were those in our moderate, in our moderate cohort, where the condition is present, it is active, we're seeing that decline. And using these mushrooms, we can really we can correct that course and show a lot of improvement.
And here's what's scary. Maybe you see one of these and you're like, but when you start seeing a pattern, that's when the real scariness happens. A dog who used to sleep through the night is now up in the middle of the night, walking around. A dog that will greet you usually when you walk in, but now just kind of offline. And a dog that never used to have accidents in the house, and now you're waking up with piles of stuff everywhere. That's when you want to pay attention. All right, pause and tell me in the comments, what's one getting older change that you've noticed in your dog? Even if it feels small, comment down below. So here's why this study got my attention. Most research is taking place in a lab, kind of in sterile environments. This one's different.
The perfect candidates, over time we're like, this dog exhibits all the things that we're looking to study.
Okay.
So that's why it took a year and a half. We're whittling it down as people submit their animals. Each dog is having different experience of it. Each family is having a different experience of this condition. And we want to see the real world impact of how this is changing their lives in their home, in their actual interaction with their pets, versus dogs that you've taken out of their native environment or raised in this really weird, kind of isolated, just to be experimented on, really in depth. It's a 60-question survey that goes into all these different behaviors from different angles, the experience of the pet parents, and having them do that every week. So tracking that on a weekly basis. A kind of 3-part data measurement of these surveys, activity collars, and then blood biomarkers.
So some wearable collar data was increased 12% sleep efficiency, minus 42% nighttime interruptions, and plus 18 to 20% of daytime activity. I think some of y'all would appreciate less interruptions during the night and maybe more active during the day. Maybe this would work on humans.
Some dogs are living in the desert. Some dogs are in the temperate rainforests of the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
And, they're eating the best fresh food that you can buy, or they're eating, what that household can afford.
Some of them are passenger princesses, or even sit on your lap while driving. Toast. All right, so let's talk about results here.
Across our cohort, we had 81% of the dogs either experience a stabilization or an improvement in their cognitive scoring.
So what does this really mean? They slept better, they woke up less during the night, and they moved more during the day, which usually translates to less cranky, less anxious, and more themselves.
You can miss the patterns by being too close to them. And so even if you don't get a collar, I recommend to people all the time keeping a journal of changes that you see in your pet when you put a new supplement in, when you start them on a new food, so that you don't have to keep all the information in your brain and track changes.
Right.
Having this thing that is outside of your natural bias to look at different changes, the earlier that we can catch this, the better. And that's why I think it's so important to have a look at these different trackers, the behavioral trackers. Have a journal so that you can pick up on these patterns, and not just go, oh, well, my dog's getting kind of old. He's acting more puppy-like again. She's acting more puppy-like again.
Like energetic or like
outgoing,
maybe.
Exactly. Less annoyed by younger dogs in the house is one that we saw a bunch of times. My dog went for a walk with me for the first time in 3 weeks.
Oh.
He's awake. He's interested in playing. He's eating. A lot of people reported like more interest in food.
Yeah.
And they canceled their dog's euthanasia appointment.
Gosh. Oh, yeah. So that story just makes you want to go, all right, now I'm listening. All right, now we got to zoom in on the real pattern of this conversation. The biggest pattern of this conversation. Sleep.
I'm a nightmare when I don't get my 8 hours. You can measure this then in a way where you don't have to watch your dog all night while you're sleeping. We have these activity sensors that they wear 24/7 that are always collecting data on their sleep and using really interesting AI technology to collaborate with that data and show activity levels during the day, how much vigorous activity, behaviors like pacing, but then also in the nighttime, exactly what their sleep profile looks like and how it changes over time.
Sleep is when the body goes into repair mode. During, specific times, REM sleep, your brain gets the cleanup, the detoxing that it needs. The stress hormones are regulated. For me, really helps my joints detox, clean up, repair. Your immune system even shifts into some sort of reset. And you might not even notice some of these sleep patterns in your dog because you're sleeping yourself. But you might see some of these symptoms during the daytime, like less energy, more agitation, weird anxiety, or cranky behavior, or maybe change in how much they're eating. I know me, and I definitely need around 8 hours of sleep. If I am struggling with some sort of joint inflammation or joint pain, sleep is the main thing that always helps. So please, not just your dogs, please get enough sleep. And like my mom taught me, nothing good happens after midnight. All right, so let's maybe dive into what these blood markers were even showing.
BDNF,
okay,
which stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Neurotrophic, nootropics are these natural substances that basically are able to induce neurogenesis, again, to create new neurons. Really important. When we see increased levels of BDNF, that means that the body is creating new neurons. A CRP, C-reactive protein, which is a more generalized inflammation marker.
Okay.
So we can show that they're inflammation throughout the body correlated with the genesis of new neurons through BDNF. There's some really amazing patterns in there where when we see that CRP is high, so indicating high inflammation, BDNF pairs lower, so less neurogenesis. When BDNF is high, predictably CRP is low. So that kind of goes back to these similar patterns in when we're sleeping well, when the body has this cycle to repair, then we have more creation of more generation, more of a generative cycle in the body. When we're stressed, when we're not well, we're not like I'm not doing the dishes as soon as I'm done with them. The bed getting made is like, ooh.
Sleep, inflammation, brain function, they're all connected. Everything's connected. Get your sleep. All right, thanks for letting me get down nerdy with some of that. So I hear this often. Mushrooms are toxic for dogs. We covered this in a previous episode with Myco Dog, and we learned about the 5 things that dogs can't eat. Mushrooms is not one of those. Again, if humans can eat these mushrooms, the dogs can also eat the mushrooms. But please, please, please cook your mushrooms. Please do not eat mycotoxins. Please cook your mushrooms. Friendly reminder.
Clarity has reishi, which is known as the mushroom of immortality in traditional Chinese herbal medicine. Cordyceps, fantastic for energy generation, blood oxygenation. And then lion's mane, famous for its neurogenerative, so creating new neurons, and neuroprotective. And then a couple other adaptogenic herbs. Ashwagandha, really known to help manage stress and nervous system function. There was a study that they did in humans where they showed a 30% decrease in cortisol production in the folks that were using ashwagandha on a daily basis. And Bacopa monnieri, which is kind of a lesser known herb, but similar and unique among the tools that we have for this condition, in that it is generative for the nervous system. It can induce neurogenesis.
Combining the flora and the fungi together really go hand in hand. I wanted to take a little second in between this episode and talk about their products just a little bit. So which ones that I have actually offered at my farmers markets and online is Myco Dog Vitality, which has a big list of all these mushrooms: turkey tail, reishi, shiitake, maitake, chaga, artist conch, red belted conch, all in this tincture. And Myco Dog is good for dogs, it's good for humans. Also, the positive of this is that it's a non-alcohol base. So a lot of tinctures nowadays are alcohol based, but dogs cannot have alcohol. So Myco Dog is superior in that sense, where they use a glycerin oil. Another one that we cover in this episode is a full spectrum hemp oil. So this is CBD for dogs. CB Dog is what we like to call this. It is CBD dog health, helps with aches and pains, arthritis, allergies. It also helps during hurricane season for little Toasty over here. She gets very anxious about thunder, wind, and once she takes this, she's very calm. So if you want to try any of these products that we're talking about today, please venture to my website, venture to Myco Dog's website, and, help your dog out. Also, if you want to try it yourself, one for you, one for your dog. All right, let's get back to the episode. So the takeaway obviously is don't feed your dog random mushrooms that you find outside. The takeaway is exploring different supplements, maybe just pet formulated products. Talk to your vet prior to taking some of these products if you are concerned, because all dogs have different conditions and different medications, and just want to make sure. Another myth is that if it helps dogs, it doesn't help humans. We talked about the human and dog patterns that are very overlapping. So I think the study would also work on humans. Humans with dementia, dogs get dementia, multiple types of animals get dementia. It's not just a human thing. All right, so if your dog is over 7 years old or acting a little bit older, do this 7-day check-in. No fancy tech needed, just a little bit of tracking. So here's the checklist. Sleep, night waking, pacing, restlessness. Just kind of track some of those. Then we got anxiety, new fears, clinginess, or Agitation, orientation, are they getting stuck behind furniture? Are they staring into corners? Are they looking confused at different routes? Is there more accidents happening inside your house? Is there any interest going up and down, changing its pattern? Is there lack of eye contact, more eye contact? And if you want to go to that next level, you can look into getting one of those wearable collars. Not you, the dog. All right, I'm linking the study down below, but also venture to seniordogstudy.com and you can read the entire article yourself and try it out for yourself. And if you want more juicy news breakdowns, please make sure to subscribe, follow, like, all of the above. Share to a family member or dog that is struggling with CCD. Make sure you comment down below any new symptom that you're kind of confused about that you're noticing in your dog. Maybe we can help. All right, well, I'd love to stay in chat, but, I gotta go W the D. All right. Have a great week, my scientists, and go learn something new today. Peaches. Reach out to me if you're like, hey, would this even be like a good topic? Please reach out to me. The answer is probably yes.
There's this other study that was similarly done on garlic. This idea that garlic is toxic to dogs is really prevalent. And again, the research
fake.
that it's fake. It's totally fake. It's totally fake. The research that was done to deduce that garlic is toxic to dogs, they were giving dogs like hundreds of full cloves of garlic and like force feeding it to them. So the amount of garlic that they were consuming is impossible to get into your dog. And it showed, the liver was overloaded and it was really hard on their gut.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I wonder why.
Yeah, duh. But nobody who would be using that intentionally would ever give that much. And garlic is great. And every dog is going to have a different constitution, of course.
That's true.
You should use it in the right dosage, and some dogs may be sensitive, but these myths that just kind of catch hold, like mushrooms being toxic.
Yeah.